guys, so excuse my hair in this video. I'm getting ready to leave and I just don't feel like doing it, so I just pinned it up a little and it's really annoying me. But anyways, that is not the purpose of this video. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about my first job because as you guys know, YouTube is my job. We're just gonna work with my natural hair today. But anyway, as you guys know, YouTube is my job. I'm very fortunate that YouTube is able to be my job. And honestly, my favorite part about working on YouTube is that, number one, I kind of make my own hours. I can kind of be my own boss in a sense. Whenever anyone asks me what my favorite part about being a full-time YouTuber is, even though I am going to be going back to school, I consider myself a full-time YouTuber right now just because like I'm uploading every day, filming almost every day. Whenever anyone asks me what my favorite part about working on YouTube or working for YouTube is, I always say that it's the ability for me to make my own hours. My favorite thing about YouTube is like if I want to go to Mike's hockey game, I don't have to clear my schedule with anyone. If I want to go visit Sierra in Pennsylvania, I don't need to like talk to the boss and make sure that I can go. I just have to make sure that I'm either able to upload videos, upload a video, and just like stay consistent on my channel. Not this past, oh my gosh, that must have been a long time ago. Christmas of 2013, I decided to apply for a job as a seasonal at David's Tea. Now, my sister had just gotten a job. She's a hostess at like a really good steakhouse here in Montreal. And my mom was kind of like, maybe you should get a job because I mean, at that time I wasn't taking YouTube very seriously. And I was like, yeah, okay. Plus, anyone who also works on YouTube will tell you that it can get lonely. It is the best job for me, but it can also get lonely because most of the days I'm either like in my room or in the office in my house, just sitting by myself or talking to a camera, editing myself, or just, you know, sitting alone. So sometimes it can get pretty lonely. So I decided, you know what, getting a job might be a good idea. And I honestly believe that everyone should work retail or like kind of like a service job at least once in their life. Sometimes, I mean, not always, sometimes employees are just really rude, and then that's where I draw the line because I don't believe there's any excuse. And it's always so weird to me whenever I go into a store, especially at Zara, they're the worst. And the employees just like look at you like you're bottom of the barrel scum. And I mean, I know it's just not me because I've gotten a lot of comments about that. When I was working at David's Tea, we were always told we had to be really chipper and happy and smiley. And the customer was like the main priority. So whenever I'm at a store and the people are just like really bitchy, I'm like, who is your manager? Because you are not doing a very good job. I applied to a couple of places, and when I was searching for a job, I was just looking kind of like on Kijiji or on my mall's I guess site. They have like places that are looking for hiring, and I saw that David's Tea was hiring, and I didn't know anyone who worked at David's Tea, but I loved going there ever since the store opened, and I really liked tea, and I liked that it was a small store. It was like literally, it wasn't a big store at all. I thought that it would be like a nice place to work because it wasn't super big, so I wouldn't have to be running around all the time. I wouldn't have to be folding clothes. I didn't want to work at Sephora or any makeup store just because I didn't want to ruin any of those places for me. Even though David's Tea wasn't ruined for me, if anything, like I developed like a greater appreciation for it. But I hear like working at Sephora kind of sucks in some places, and honestly, I'm not like a professional makeup artist. I have no desire to be a professional makeup artist, so I didn't want to go work at a makeup store, even though a lot of you guys suggested it. Like, I just wasn't into it. So I applied for David's Tea, and I was contacted to come to a group interview, which I was really, really scared of, but luckily I kind of thrive in group situations. I'm pretty outgoing, especially when I need to be. Believe it or not, I'm actually kind of a shy person. I went to the group interview, and it went really, really well, and the next day I was called and said that I got the job, which I was really happy about. And then I went and I gave in like all the papers and everything. And okay, my first tip is if it's your first job, they're gonna ask you your availability. Do not actually write when you are always available. I had never had a job like outside of the house. I had been working on YouTube since I was 13, so I had never like written a CV or gotten a real job. And I didn't know you were not actually supposed to write about all of your availabilities. So Mike plays hockey, and most of his games were on Friday nights and on Sundays. Now his schedule is a little bit different because it's a different team, but at that time he had a game every Friday and most Sundays. So yeah, I wrote, of course, since it's Friday night and on school, I was like, yeah, I'm available every Friday and like every Sunday. So even though I was available throughout the week, I was always placed on like Fridays and a lot of Sundays because I mean, I guess other people were smarter and they didn't put that they were available every single Friday. So if you are filling out your availability for the first time, maybe don't put every single Friday. I think some Fridays are good. I ended up working a lot of Fridays, and I ended up missing a lot of Mike's first year in junior hockey, which, I mean, it wasn't a huge deal. I wasn't torn up about it, but I like to support him. If you watch my vlogs, you know, I go to a lot of his games, and it was kind of disappointing for me not to be able to go whenever I wanted because I was so used to it. It was fun. On Friday nights, the mall, I mean, it wasn't that busy. I really wanted to avoid working on Saturdays and Sundays because the malls during this time of year are kind of crazy, even though they're not super crazy this year. It was still fine. I had a lot of fun working, and I'm a good worker. I know a lot of people probably think I'm just like a spoiled, prissy little girl, but I am really good at doing work, whether it's school work or any sort of work. I take things very seriously, and I work how I would want my employees to work. My second tip is you are not going to work to have fun. If you have fun at work, that's really great. I had a lot of fun. The girls were really, really nice. They really liked me, but you are going to work to work. So if you go dreading it, obviously you're not gonna have a fun time. But if you go and like, I don't know, it was fun to talk to people. Sometimes people were rude. Another thing, especially if you're a seasonal employee, is to know your place. I worked with a then friend, and I feel like she really struggled with knowing her place in the store. Most of the seasonal employees were not allowed to go behind the counter unless you were like scheduled to go behind the counter, which I was a couple of times, or, you know, do the cash or anything like that. And this girl would like go behind the counter and make teas and grab teas off the wall. And granted, she wasn't doing it during busy times, but you weren't really allowed to do that. So I just feel like I was pretty much well liked as far as I know, just because I was respectful and I came and I did my job and I was a good salesperson, and I didn't like, you know, try and grab stuff off the wall and make teas and give away teas to my friends because I just didn't think that was respectful of the manager, of the regular employees, or of the other people working. So definitely know your place. I really loved working there. I think David's Tea is a really fun place to work. They're not sponsoring this video. They don't know that I'm even making this video, but whenever I mention that I've had like an actual job, I get a lot of questions about it. And at the end of the seasonal, because like our contract was just seasonal, I was actually held on a little bit longer, but since it was such a small store, I wasn't able to be kept on. And honestly, if I could have been kept on, I probably would have stayed, just because it was really fun and I liked going to work there. The only drawback that I mentioned was the fact that I wasn't able to make my own schedule, and that's probably my favorite thing about being self-employed or working for myself, is the fact that I can, you know, go to the States if I want to go. I can go on a vacation. I could book a trip tonight to go to Mexico and leave tomorrow, and it would be fine. It'd be great for the vlog. I got quite a few numbers, and well, they asked for a lot of my numbers. I, of course, had a boyfriend, so I was not handing out my numbers, but working in a mall, if you're single, it's great because a lot of cute guys are coming in. A lot of guys asked for my number, and I would be like, oh, like, sorry, like, we're not allowed, like, it's store policy. I'm really bad at rejecting people, so I felt really bad. Plus the discount. The discount, is amazing. I don't know if it's the same as it was when I worked there, but when I worked there, I don't know if I can even say it. Let's just say it was really good, and if you are buying Christmas presents for people that love tea, your wallet will be very, very happy. That's another thing. If you're working in a store, you should probably apply to a store that would be beneficial for you. Like, let's say you shop at Sephora a lot. If you apply to Sephora, you'll get a discount, which is good. Of course, like, for me, like, I had no interest in working at Sephora just because I had heard some not so good stories, and I wasn't, like, you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of one of the managers at my Sephora, so, like, the idea of working for her, I was like, no. But, like, let's say, like, my friend Liz, she's working at the Bay this year, and she gets a discount on lots of everything at the Bay, so shoes, makeup, stuff like that. My friend Tristan, she works at Victoria's Secret, and she gets a discount at Victoria's Secret. So I think it's kind of good to work at stores that you personally shop at, because that way you can get a discount and save some money. Working definitely gave me a better sense of spending and saving money, because YouTube is a very different job compared to other jobs. I would make like around $10.25 an hour, and so like when I was like going out to eat, I was like, whoa, like, this meal cost $20. That's like 2 hours of work. I was making my own money for a while because of YouTube, but when you're actually doing like not hard labor, but not just like YouTube labor, it definitely taught me a lot, if that makes any sense. And it makes you more aware of what you're spending, especially when you are on your feet for hours at a time and spending money and only getting like, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but it definitely taught me some principles about saving my money and not just like being okay, like just blowing money. I think that everyone should work retail at least once in their life. It kind of just gives you a different look into employees, because I know sometimes you can go to a store and they're just really rude, and I mean, maybe they had a bad day. but maybe they were also treated like shit by some of the customers. So it definitely kind of gave me, I was always nice just because that's like the kind of person I am, and I know that they work in a very thankless job. So thank you to everyone who works in retail positions, because the stories, like my friend, one of my best friends, Tristan, like this woman called her ugly and stupid. Like, whew, like I honestly, if you work retail, especially during this time of year, kudos to you, because people are crazy. And I feel like you kind of need to work retail at least once to kind of understand it. And I think it's definitely beneficial. But I'm happy that I had the experience and that it was such a good experience. So thank you to everyone. If anyone's watching from the David's Tea that I worked at, you guys were all amazing to work with, and every time I go in and I see one of them, it always makes me happy. So hi to all the girls. And now there's a guy working there. When I worked there, there were no guys, but now there's a guy working there, which is really cool. Let me know if you have any questions. I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of a story time and a little bit of my story of working retail. I had such a good experience, so I can't say I'm happy like not to be working retail, but I'm definitely thankful that I'm able to make my own hours. So thank you to all of you who allow me to do that, because without you, that wouldn't be possible. So thank you for that. And I get a lot of questions about my favorite teas from David's Teas. Of course, I love the herbal teas. I'm not the biggest fan of green tea, but their lime gelato green tea is amazing, warm or cold, especially during the summer. It's amazing. So the lime gelato. And then the herbal teas are kind of my favorite. I love the strawberry rhubarb parfait. Is it that, or just strawberry rhubarb? Forever Nuts, of course. The Glow is great for skin. One of my all-time favorite teas is called Fantasy Island. One of the managers, Kelly, recommended it to me. It is like the best black tea. It's like coconutty. It's amazing cold. It's amazing hot. Probably my #1 recommended tea. The Skinny is good. I think it's like one of the first like tea talks kind of teas. What other sorts of teas? There's just like so many teas, no matter what your preference is. Cold 911 if you have a cold. There are tons of teas. I will list them down below. Which ones are my favorite. You guys can let me know which ones are your favorite, because I love hearing about that. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great day or night depending on when you watch this, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.